Hey, I'm Tim, and welcome to Tim's Saying, a podcast inspiring you to grow, develop, and thrive through life's challenges. In today's episode, we'll explore why fear and self-doubt hold us back, and we'll give you some practical strategies for overcoming them. You'll leave today, hopefully, with some tools to reframe your thoughts, build trust in yourself, and take action despite the fears that you're facing. Today, we're diving into something that we all deal with: fear and self-doubt. These feelings can sometimes paralyze us or keep us stuck. But you know what? We don't have to let them win. By the end of this episode, you'll hopefully have some practical tools, some actionable steps that can help you reframe your thoughts, that can help you trust yourself and take action even when fear tries to stop you. Let's be real. Fear and self-doubt, they're universal. They're that little voice in your head. Let's say before you step on a stage, or before you hit send on that big email, or before you start something new. Maybe some of you are looking to make a career change and looking for a new job. Maybe a job that you know is really going to boost your career and help you progress and help you develop and stretch. But making a bold career move, it can be scary. Maybe there's some who are entrepreneurs and want to venture out on this new journey, a new project. Or maybe you're about to post your first TikTok. I don't know. Or maybe you're about to ask someone out. But fear shows up. Fear can easily show up in these scenarios. But here's the thing. You're not alone in feeling this way. Everyone, and I mean everyone, from your favorite celebrities to top athletes to the people that you admire, for maybe family members that you really look up to, they've all dealt with fear and doubt at some point in their lives. Even I have had my moments. I remember this one time when, I think it was just last year, I believe, I was asked to perform in front of over 1,000 people. I was part of this boy band, and it was a Christmas show for our community. Okay, so I was like, you know what, let me do this for the community. But we were putting on this show, and then I was like the lead, and I was doing the vocals and then choreo. Like I don't dance. Okay, I don't sing. I don't dance. So thank God for autotune. I think they auto-tuned the life out of my mic, and thank you for the patience and the grace from the people that helping with the choreo, because I have two left feet, literally. I don't dance, so I can freestyle. I'm confident on stage, but dancing and performing, that's not me. But when I was asked to do that, people believed in me. People thought, you know what, Tim, you can pull this off. We believe in you. Go for it. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. It was scary because I wanted to do my best, because I wanted to give my best in everything that I do. I want it to be excellent. I'm always looking at the bigger picture, and I don't want to, mess it up. So honestly, I was so nervous. Pushing through that fear, we put in the work, we rehearsed, and I listened to my audio and the music over and over. I looked at the video over and over. Even though I was so uncomfortable, I was so nervous, but pushing through that fear, it changed how I saw myself and how I handled fear from then on and in the future and then many times after that. And that's what I want to remind you today, that you can do something about this fear and this self-doubt that you're feeling. Yes, they are real, but you can do something about them. First, let's understand what fear and self-doubt are and why they exist. Fear is your brain's way of trying to protect you. Okay? It's like a It's like a smoke alarm. Sometimes it's useful, but the other times it just goes off for no reason. Like when you're just making toast or you're doing the ironing, it just goes off. And then in my old home, sometimes there's nothing going on, and then it would just go off. There's some Holy Ghost in there. But I don't, it's like a smoke alarm. That's what fear is. And it's loud and it can make you jump. And it happens when you least expect it. That's what fear is. How about self-doubt? Okay, self-doubt comes from things like experiences or societal pressure, maybe things that you've been asked to do, you've been pressured to do by the society, or you feel pressured to do because of the norm, the societal norms. And self-doubt can also be internalized beliefs, things that whispers to you. It whispers, what if you're not good enough? It whispers, you're never going to be good enough. It whispers this really negative things that make you doubt yourself. It stops you before you even start trying. That's what self-doubt is, and that's what it does. And what your brain naturally leans towards is the negative. It's called negative bias. Like, what if I fail? Instead of, what if this works out? It's our survival instinct. But it doesn't mean that you have to live there. It does not mean that you're stuck there and you have to accept that. Okay, I want you to know that. Just knowing this negative bias exists is a game changer, because once you spot it, maybe you're going through it now. Maybe as you're listening to this podcast, you're already thinking about it and it's shedding light on it. Once you recognize it and you're aware of it, you can start then flipping the script. Oh, maybe I should title this podcast that Flip the Script. It sounds a bit harsh though, doesn't it? But the good news is, again, I've said this in the last 2 episodes, neuroplasticity. Here's the cool part. Your brain can change. Neuroplasticity, we all know this, is that idea that your brain is always rewiring itself. So even if fear has been running the show, you can teach yourself new patterns by stepping outside your comfort zone little by little, step by step. Like, don't do it all at once because it can be overwhelming and you might bite more than you can chew. So it's just like working out. You don't bench 200 kg on day 1. You build up to it. Okay, maybe some of you bench that in your day 1. Then I would love to hear how you injured yourself. But it's like working out neuroplasticity. You do it little by little. You train your mind and it develops and it stretches and it reshapes. You build up to it. Here's the deal. If you don't do any of these and you accept it, you accept fear and self-doubt in your life, giving in to fear and self-doubt has a cost. It keeps you small. It keeps you defeated. It stops you from going after what you really want. It stops you from getting what you really need. It stops you from growing when you know that you need to grow in this time of your life, in this season of your life, in this challenge that you're facing. Fear and self-doubt will stop all of that. It will destroy your confidence. It will absolutely wreck your growth. So don't give in to fear. Don't give in to self-doubt. You see, for me, I almost didn't start this podcast because I was thinking, oh, what if people don't listen? What if I don't have anything valuable to say? What if? There's a lot of what ifs. But I realized something. Staying stuck, staying somewhere with no progress, without doing, without trying, without attempting, without stepping out of my comfort zone, they're worse than trying and failing. I would rather try and fail or make a mistake along the way and learn from them, then go again, than living my life at the age of 70, 80, 90, I don't know. My wife thinks we're not going to die, so 1,000 years old. And I don't want to get there and think, oh, what if I started? What if I built that? What if I just went for it without overthinking it or without being concerned about what people will think or if people will listen? There's too much cost there. See, growing up, I was so scared of drawing attention to myself. I remember when I was maybe 13, 14, when I moved to the UK, and I had so much insecurities because of the environments that I was in. First, my accent. Like, I came from a English-speaking country, but English wasn't a first language. And then I moved to the UK, and people were making fun. These young kids, my age, 13 years old, they're making fun of how I said things and my accent and how I looked, my hair, my bag, my everything. I had so much insecurities. I thought people would laugh at me. That's what I thought growing up. Fear will take over your life if you let it. Trust me, breaking free from fear is so worth it. It's not easy, and usually the first step of breaking out of fear and breaking out of self-doubt, they are the hardest. But at the end of it, when you're at the other side and when you reflect and look back, you'll think, wow, that was so worth it. And I'm glad that I broke out of it. I'm glad that I chose to take the first step and then another step and another step to break free from fear and self-doubt. Now let's get into some actionable stuff, because this podcast want to tell you what the topic is, what that thing is, and I want to tell you what the research says about it, but I also want this to be practical. I always want to challenge my listeners to do something about what they've heard. So let's get into some of these actionable stuff. Here's some practical ways to face fear and self-doubt and how to face them just head on. First, label it. Label it. Name your fear. See, research says that just labeling it reduces its intensity. For example, say, I'm scared of failing this interview because I don't want to disappoint my family. When you call it out, it feels less overwhelming. It's like you're taking the power from it and you're saying, you know what? You're not going to be just this silent whisper in my head, but I'm going to say out loud and I'm going to bring it here to the light, to my reality, and I'm going to acknowledge it. So number one is label it. Number two, how do you recognize and reframe fear? Reframe your thoughts. Change that inner dialogue that's going on in your head. Instead of saying, I'm not good enough, try saying, I'm learning and mistakes are part of the process. It really helps shift that mindset from fear of failure to seeing these challenges as growth opportunities. In episode 1, we talked about why growth is a journey. If you haven't listened to it, make sure you listen to that episode. Number 3, how do you recognize and reframe fear? Separate facts from feelings. This is so important, and this is something that many people miss. Ask yourself this question. When you're going through something, right, and you are experiencing doubt and fear, ask yourself this question. What evidence supports this fear? And what is just emotion? Okay? You need to separate facts from what you're feeling. You need to separate what's true and what is just feeling, which is temporary. Most of the time, you'll find your fear isn't based on facts. It's just your brain playing tricks on you. And it's so important to take control of that. Take control and get hold of your thoughts. And don't allow your thoughts to have power over you. Don't allow your thoughts to take control of your feelings and the facts. Number 4, visualize success. Athletes do this all the time. Picture yourself winning. Imagine yourself winning. Whether that's acing an interview, finishing a project, or just trying something new, or maybe building a small business. Picture yourself on the other side. Picture yourself winning and achieving and accomplishing. Because visualization, it helps your brain prepare for success. Number 5, expose yourself gradually. Take small, manageable steps toward your fear. I'm all for this. This podcast is all about taking those small but effective change. I don't believe in just taking something on too big too soon, because you will set yourself up for a fail or a burnout or something that isn't long lasting. So number 5 tip is expose yourself gradually. For example, maybe you have a fear of public speaking. Why not start by practicing in front of your mirror? And then after that, practice in front of a friend, a trusted friend. After that, maybe, work your way up. Practice in a small group setting. Each one of those steps builds confidence. Number 6, box breathing. Now, this is so good. And at first, when I first heard about this and read about this many years ago, I thought, nah, surely that doesn't work. But you know what? I practice this all the time. This is my go-to for calming myself down when my emotions try to take over. This is my go-to for calming down when fear tries to hit. This is so important because you're allowing oxygen into your brain. Therefore, it allows your brain to think clearer, to think better, and ultimately, it helps your response and how to respond well in whatever situation that you are in. Now, how to do box breathing? Very simple. We can even do this together. Let's do this together. All you need to do is breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and then breathe out for 4, and then hold again for 4, and then it's just a cycle. It's very simple, but it works. So let's try this together. You ready? So breathe in. Breathe out. And breathe in again. And breathe out. See? It's very simple, but it works. I bet you already feel so much better, right? Now we've got these wonderful tips. It's also important next to then tackle self-doubt. And how do we do that? We do that by building trust in ourselves. See, trusting yourself isn't about being fearless. It's about showing up despite the fear. And here's how to start. First one, you start small. Set one small goal this week, like speaking up in class or trying a new skill, or maybe you're at work and you have a meeting. Maybe try and speak up there. Each small win builds momentum. Number 2, you need to track your wins. It's very crucial that you track your progress so then you can see how you're doing. You can see your accomplishment and you can see your progress. Keep a wins journal, for example, maybe a small book, or type it up on your phone. Write down every little thing that you accomplished. Write down everything, no matter how small or how big. Because seeing your progress on a piece of paper or on your phone, it really does boost confidence. Number 3, and how to build trust in yourself. Lean into strengths. Lean into strengths. What are 3 things that you're naturally good at? Start there. Building on your strength makes it easier to face what feels hard. So make sure that you recognize your strengths and then you keep building on them. Number 4, affirm what's real. Affirm what's real. Skip all of the fluff. Instead of I'm perfect, say I'm capable of figuring this out. Be real with yourself, be true with yourself while you're staying positive. And I want to give you this encouraging Bible verse. It says in Psalm 27:1, "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid?" This verse reminds us that fear doesn't have to control us. Just trust in God and that you're equipped to do this, that you've got what it takes. And I am confident that you're going to thrive in this season that you are in. Lastly, I want to encourage you that courage isn't the absence of fear. Remember that. It's pushing through despite the fear. Like Nelson Mandela said, courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. Every time you take action, you're proving and you're saying to yourself that you can do hard things. You can do difficult things. You can overcome them. You can thrive in them. And you can win over them. One challenge for you this week is to think about one fear or doubt that's been holding you back. And then write it down next to it. One small actionable step on how to face it. Whether that's speaking up, starting something new, or just acknowledging it for what it is. Now, if this episode spoke to you, share your progress with me on social media at Tim Saying on Instagram. I'd love to cheer you on. I'd love to hear your story. Next week, we're talking about how to stay strong when life gets hard. It's going to be good. I'll see you in the next episode.